general candidate for governor. Ready.
Thank you so very much, Dr. Hosey. Thank you for the introduction, but more importantly, thank you for what you are doing to fight for conservative values right here in Harris County and across the state of Texas. Well, let me tell you, it is great to be with a room full of grassroots patriots. Fighting to ensure that we take Harris County back from the Barack Obama column and turn Harris County red and keep Texas red. Steve Hosey was talking about something that you all know about, and that is that Barack Obama's team has sent a bunch of paid operatives to Texas to try to turn Texas blue. But you all have a message for Barack Obama, and that is that grassroots patriots beat paid operatives every single time. Well, fighting back against Barack Obama is something I have a little expertise at.
Yes,
You know my job description. I go into the office, I sue Barack Obama, and then I go home. I've sued Barack Obama 29 times already, and I am not through yet. I didn't create that phrase, don't mess with Texas, but I have applied it more than anybody else in the history of this great state. One of those lawsuits was challenging the constitutionality of Obamacare. A lawsuit I filed on the very day that the president signed that law into effect, because I could tell then not only did that law violate the 10th Amendment and was unconstitutional, but also I could tell back then the economic havoc Obamacare would wreak on this country, the damage that it would inflict on patients and on families and on the small jobs creators. And you know what? The president has done nothing but grant exception after exception after exception, because even the president knows Obamacare won't work. Norman, you know, the president now has exempted members of Congress and their staff from having to comply with Obamacare.
It's just not fair to them.
Well, I think that if Congress doesn't have to comply with Obamacare, then Texans shouldn't have to comply with Obamacare. Continue to fight against this law. I've also been waging a war against the overreaching illegal regulations the EPA is trying to force on the state of Texas. Trying to crush the energy jobs that we have growing up here, right here in Houston. And of course, as you know, I filed a lawsuit against Eric Holder. Eric Holder is trying to prevent us from enforcing our voter ID law. The truth of the matter is, I have prosecuted voter fraud across the state of Texas. We've had dead people casting votes, live people voting twice, 4 nationals registered to vote illegally. I'm going to fight this voter fraud and voter ID case all the way to the Supreme Court. And I have fought for your individual rights, including your Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms. I led 2 cases to the United States Supreme Court where we fought back against the liberal interpretation of the Constitution that tried to say the Second Amendment only guaranteed a right for militias. I said, no, that's wrong. The Second Amendment guarantees an individual right to keep and bear arms.
Amen.
Then all things that liberal TV show host Piers Morgan. Texas to debate me and Ted Nugent and Dan Patrick about our right to keep and bear arms. Well, I told Piers Morgan that we here in this country stopped debating the British about our right to keep and bear arms back in 1776. Starting over now. And of course, I successfully defended the Ten Commandments monument on the Texas Capitol grounds and the right of children to recite the Pledge of Allegiance with the words, "One nation, under God," and our Pledge of Allegiance, and we won. When it comes to fighting for you and your freedom, I want you to know I will never stop fighting. And that is why I'm asking you, the people of Texas, to elect me as your next governor. As your next governor, I will keep Texas #1 in job creation.
Yes. Yep.
You know, the truth of the matter is Texas has been #1 for the past decade in creating jobs. I will ensure that we have limited government, low taxes, smart and reasonable regulations, and the right to work laws that prevent the devastation that we see of union abuses in places like Detroit. Also, as governor, I will work on reforming our education system. As the husband of a woman for 32 years now, my wife was both a teacher in school and a principal of school, and we've seen the transformative effect that education can play in the life of a child. But we've also seen challenges that teachers face in schools. And as governor, I will work on continuing to reform schools to help teachers get away from being forced to teach to the test. I will help teachers get away from being limited to a cookie-cutter style approach to educating our kids. And as your governor, I will drive a stake through the heart of Cisco. And I will never allow Common Core in Texas, because I know that teachers, schools, and parents know far better how to educate our kids than do a bunch of unelected bureaucrats in Washington, D.C. Well, also, as your governor, I will do what the federal government has refused to do. I will secure our border. Our priorities are wrong in this state when we stop a valedictorian from mentioning God at a graduation speech, but we do not stop the drug cartels from spilling across the border, causing crime right here in Houston, Texas. Well, let me tell you this. I'm up for this fight. As Dr. Hotze was talking about, we have a big fight on our hands, but I got a special tool that I will be using in this campaign and as your next governor. It's a tool that I got right here in Houston, Texas. I came to Houston after I graduated from law school and began to pursue my dreams here. Not too long after I moved to Houston, I was out jogging when a big tree fell on me. It crashed down on my back, fracturing my vertebrae and my spinal cord, leaving me immediately and permanently paralyzed the rest of my life. I was in Herman Hospital for a month and a half, then at TRR for another month and a half. And doctors literally began at piecing my life back together when they pieced my vertebrae back together. And when they did that, they inserted steel rods on each side of my vertebrae to hold my vertebrae in place. And I just want you to know, when you hear politicians get up here and tell you they will have a spine of steel, I really do have a steel spine that will use the fact of you in your future every single day. And that's what I need you to do. I need you to join with me as we fight back against this liberal agenda that's trying to take freedom away from Texas. So join with me in this fight for the ideals and values of the greatest people to inhabit this earth, the people of Texas. God bless you all, and may God continue to bless the great state of Texas.